And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my peepo. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, you know that your girl couldn't even get my voice ready for that. Let's try it again. You know, your girl, Letitia James, was indicted. She was federally indicted for bank fraud just a couple of days ago, y'all. This was something that many of us had been anticipating for about half a year now. And these anticipations were due to, at least in my case, it was due to the fact that there was some there's documents, and she went after Trump, and I knew that the people in the Trump administration would say, okay, you look like you did something similar to what you accused him of doing. So now we're going to see how you like when the shoe was on the other foot. But y'all, with this bank fraud situation of Letitia James, you have other collateral and ancillary, y'all look that word up. You have ancillary types of a fraud that may have actually gone along with it. Now, of course, I'm not accusing her of anything. I'm simply reporting the news. You have insurance fraud, which we're going to talk about today. And you also have tax fraud. So we have someone in the Trump administration who's speculating that there may be a superseding indictment in which we see Letitia James charged with additional fraud charges. Okay. Now, in this video, you're going to see where the official talks about that. You're also going to see a better explanation of her current indictment. You know, it felt like every week or two there was a new allegation of hers. And the interesting thing about her indictment, none of the things we talked about, none of them that I talked about on this channel, she wasn't indicted for any of those. She was indicted for something else. She was indicted for something totally, it was related, but it wasn't any of the specific instances that I talked about on this channel. And I must have talked about 10 or 12 different specific things that she allegedly did wrong with relation to mortgages. And the actual indictment came up with something totally unforeseen. So we're going to take a look at that today, y'all. So y'all, let's not belabor the point anymore. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. But before we do, y'all, make sure you take care of your money. I'm not going to make this a long one, y'all. Go to Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com, or call 844-651-8334, 844-651-8334. If you have $50,000 to $100,000 or more in your retirement, protected from inflation, protected from monetary debasement, you're about to retire. Make sure your money's still there and it's still worth something by investing at least some of it in gold. Talk to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals. Go click the link now, get the free information, and protect your precious retirement.
New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted on charges of banking fraud and making false statements to a financial institution. James and her fellow Democrats say the prosecution is politically motivated, citing her 2020 lawsuit against President Trump. James released this video statement yesterday. Watch.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost.
Let's bring in Paul Morrow, attorney, retired NYPD inspector and Fox News contributor. Okay, so we know this doesn't surprise us that she would come out and say this, obviously, and that Democrats are going to use this as a political, talking point. But doesn't this case have teeth?
It does, and I have to tell you that all you need to do is read the indictment to see that it does, because it's a very simple, plain-spoken indictment, which is crucial in a financial case, because in financial cases they can get very complicated. You could potentially lose the jury. This one doesn't have that. Now, to clear something up, the primary residence issue is not here. That was the initial allegation we all heard about from the power of attorney form. What it comes down to is the following. She signed the operative paperwork to get the loan, saying that the house in Virginia is going to be a second house, not an investment property, a second house for her to go to herself. She's not allowed to have somebody there renting it. Okay, that's how she gets the loan. She then takes her paperwork for her taxes and puts on her tax forms that it is an investment property and in fact has write-offs relative to the investment property. So internally it's inconsistent by her own paperwork. By getting the lower rate for a non-investment property, she saved about $19,000 to this point. That is the crux of the allegation.
So as you can see there, we talked about so many different mortgage fraud related allegations for Letitia James on this channel. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was another one about a HELOC. There was one where her father was listed as her husband. There's one where in New York, her 5-unit apartment building is listed as a 4-unit. There are phantom mortgages on her disclosures. There's so much. And after all was said and done, it was this where she had said one home was going to be a second home, and then it turned out to be an investment property. It still sticks with the type of pattern of what we've been talking about on this channel, but I don't think that I ever covered that exact allegation. If I did, y'all, let me know down in the comments if I'm tripping. Now, one thing we did talk about previously, and I'm going to loop into this video at the end of today's video. One thing that we did talk about previously is the fact that with mortgage fraud, you will often have insurance fraud. If you have a mortgage where you're claiming that a property is not investment property, so you're claiming that it's a first or second home, when it really is an investment property, that'll probably bring along some insurance fraud too, because the insurer is going to want to know how you're going to use the home. If you declare you're going to use the home as a first home or a second home, you'll usually get better insurance rates as well. If you were to declare it's an investment property, you'll probably get higher insurance rates because investment properties usually carry higher rates, even though it's the same property. So there's the speculation that, did she fill out an insurance form saying that she was going to use this investment property as a second home? Why don't we take a look at that? So y'all, at this point, now that there's an indictment, I imagine there's discovery happening. And discovery is where you're going to go to all the insurers, you're going to go to all the mortgage companies, you're going to look for all of the little dirty details that can help you build your case. Let's take a look at this possible insurance fraud angle.
I'll raise one other thing with you, Laura, which was fascinating in this indictment that U.S. Attorney Halligan did. She lays out in there, and I didn't know this, but it's fascinating to me, that Letitia James, according to the indictment, said that she had a primary residence at this secondary home for purposes of insurance. I believe, and I don't know for sure, we'll have to see what happens, that that's insurance fraud. And a lot of people just think, Laura, well, it's mortgage fraud. You have downstream crimes when you have mortgage fraud. You have insurance fraud, you have tax fraud, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see a superseding indictment, but of course that would be all up to the DOJ.
Very, very interesting.
I'll raise one other thing with you, Laura, which was fascinating in this indictment that U.S. Attorney Halligan did. She lays out in there, and I didn't know this, but it's fascinating to me, that Letitia James, according to the indictment, said that she had a primary residence at this secondary home for purposes of insurance. I believe, and I don't know for sure, we'll have to see what happens, that that's insurance fraud. And a lot of people just think, Laura, well, it's mortgage fraud. You have downstream crimes when you have mortgage fraud. You have insurance fraud, you have tax fraud, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see a superseding indictment, but of course, that would be all up to the DOJ.
Very, very interesting.
So what could possibly be the consequence to Letitia James if she is convicted? Now, this is the thing. If she were to be convicted, she would likely face very severe consequences, even if she's not sentenced to jail. So you have two different things. You have what the jury says, their verdict. Do they convict? And then you have the sentence from the judge. If she were to be convicted, she could face very stiff penalties, even if she is not sentenced to any prison time by the judge.
And let's recognize something else. She also got through, it had to be for her sake, through Albany, a $10 million fund for anybody who has federal government coming after them for what they've done on the job and off the job, anybody that's been targeted. So she's saying she hasn't accessed that fund yet. $10 million. She's got a high-priced lawyer, Abby Lowell's. I have a feeling the citizens of New York are going to be paying for Abby Lowell's swimming pool. So that $10 million is sitting there waiting for her to access it. The legislature put it through. The governor, Kathy Hochul, signed off on it. But here's the thing. The stakes for her are very high here because they're not going to plead this out. And if she gets convicted on a felony, which this is, she loses her law license and she has to step down. Essentially, she's going to be unemployable in public life in New York.
And you know, y'all, I will say this, the most interesting aspect of all of this are the people who are decrying the lawfare against Letitia James when she is the person who started the lawfare. Now, do two wrongs make a right? No. Okay, so you could say the lawfare against her is wrong even though she started it. You could say that, okay? But I think you need to say that. If you want to say, look, I acknowledge she started it. It was wrong when she started it, but it's still wrong for you to keep it going. Fine. You know, I'm not going to argue with you on that point because I have said in my previous videos, I don't want anybody doing lawfare. I don't want anybody doing this stuff. But if you only point out the side where it looks like, man, are y'all going after Letitia James? You know, well, you have to be honest. You have to say, look, I wish both sides would stop it. You know what I mean? So people are like in this weird bubble where they won't acknowledge that Letitia James, literally, she's the queen of this. She started this entire wave. This is the lawfare wave, is a Letitia James wave.
Okay, and so here's a senator from Michigan, Alyssa Slotkin. This is what she told CNN on Thursday.
Just as part of a bigger trend of the President of the United States using the Department of Justice, using the legal system to go after political adversaries. Using the arms of our democracy to go after political adversaries. It's just a broken way to do politics.
I wonder what you think about that, because nobody said that at the beginning when Letitia James went after Trump for the same thing.
Yeah, pretty rich when you consider the fact that that was her promise in coming into office as the Attorney General, that she was going to be using her office to go after Donald Trump, which is really not her remit as supposedly the top law enforcement officer in New York.
So y'all, what we're going to do now is we're going to flip into this report we did earlier about potential insurance fraud, okay? Just to give you a little bit more context, we're going to flow into this report. Then I'm going to come back for some final comments. So now those allegations of insurance fraud. This is from Gateway Pundit. This website has been on the forefront of breaking down all of these mortgage allegations and is reporting on potential insurance fraud as well. Now, where would the insurance fraud come from? According to Gateway Pundit and to my own background, I can say that this makes a lot of sense. It says here, firstly, this regards James's claim of residence for a home mortgage in Norfolk, Virginia. Whether a home is owner occupied or not plays a significant role in how insurance companies determine rates for homeowners insurance. Owner-occupied homes, the primary residence in which the homeowner actually lives, are typically considered lower risk by insurers. They believe that these homes are better and regularly maintained and monitored, and that issues like water damage, fire, or theft are more likely to be caught early or prevented altogether. As a result, insurance premiums for owner-occupied homes are generally lower. In contrast, non-owner occupied homes, such as rental properties, vacation homes, or vacant houses, pose a higher risk and usually come with higher premiums. For rental properties, landlords need specialized insurance, also often called DP3 policies, that covers dwelling liability and potential loss of rental income. So as you can see where this is going, if you are claiming that you are going to owner occupy a rental property, one, that's, we can say fraud, right? Because the benefit to you is you get the owner occupied insurance rate, which is going to be a lower rate usually than if you were to take out an insurance policy for that same dwelling, that same property, but as a rental property. So yeah, y'all, as you saw, there's a $10 million set aside in the New York State budget for Letitia James, y'all. $10 million legal defense fund for Letitia James to defend herself. $10 million from the state. And these charges have nothing to do with her official capacity as Attorney General. You talk about corruption. I mean, to me, that's corruption, y'all. But anyway, let me know what y'all think down in the comments. What do you think is going to happen, y'all? Do you think Letitia James is going to go to trial? I mean, the judge could dismiss this case. The judge could say, hey, I don't see, there's no there. I don't see that a crime was necessarily or reasonably committed. I mean, anything could happen. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments, y'all. Before you do, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. To my people with a retirement, go down, click the first link in the description, Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com. Protect your retirement from the upsies, downsies, roundsies, and the roundsies. And talk to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals at 844-651-8334. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.